very warm welcome, Cem. Thank you so much for coming us. Thank you so much for taking out time for this campaign of ours on International Transgender Day of Visibility. And we have been following your nonprofit's work, and we really appreciate whatever you are doing. That is why we eagerly wanted to connect with you and try to understand more about the cause, your nonprofit, how is it creating an impact in the society. So starting with the very first question, Cem, why is the transgender visibility the need of the hour?
Well, Pratham, thanks for inviting me. So visibility for trans people is so important. It inspires people and gives them the hope and strength to be who they really are. Visibility also changes the attitudes of society. It can help destigmatizing trans identities and open people's minds. However, what the trans community needs in this moment is more than visibility. What we need are rights, protection, justice, and acceptance. We still need to be visible, but we also need action. Trans people still experience shockingly high rates of violence and discriminations compared to their cisgender peers. Widespread gross violations of human rights of trans people are rampant all around the world. Actually, between the 1st of October 2020 and 30th of September 2021, the Trans Murder Monitoring registered 375 reports of trans and gender diverse people killed worldwide. Many trans people are losing their jobs due to bias today. They are being harassed on the job and are evicted or denied housing. Studies have shown that trans and gender diverse students face the most hostile school climates of all LGBTI+ students. This data is appalling, and something must be done to change these trends. To combat these high rates of violence and discrimination, we need a comprehensive legislation that protects trans people, and we need to actively oppose bills that target this group. Because trans communities do not deserve to be trivialized, and yet trans people still face too many injustices to count. We can, of course, acknowledge the importance of trans celebrities making headlines and TV shows portraying trans people in a more positive light, but we must also acknowledge that this is not enough. There's still so much work to be done to ensure equality and justice for all, not just equality and justice for cisgender people. Visibility is important, but so is action. On this Trans Day of Visibility, it's time we make it visible that we are done with discrimination against trans people. We can all take action now. Trans Day of Visibility is actually an opportunity for trans people and their allies to take positive action to educate the public about what it means to be trans by sharing first-hand experiences along with insights and information. The activity is all geared towards one objective: increasing understanding to reduce prejudice. Change takes time, and it relies on consistency, people standing together, saying the same thing over and over again. Of course, it becomes even harder when the narrative that already exists actively seeks to harm and marginalize. For years, the stereotypical representation of a trans person was misleading. As time has moved on, people have become more open to accepting that the cis-heteronormative experience is not everyone's truth. So Trans Day of Visibility is dedicated to celebrating trans people and raising awareness of this discrimination faced by trans people worldwide, as well as a celebration of their contributions to society. It's about trans people being visible, living their own lives. So let me celebrate and say Happy Trans Day of Visibility.
Happy Trans Day Visibility to you too, Cem.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing all those thoughts, because that really moved me when you said that visibility is good, but it needs to be converted into action. That actually moved me, and I totally agree with you on that. So I'm more intrigued about how does your organization create an impact in the society? What does it do? How does it affect the people in the community?
So I'm working as the administrative and LGBTI+ helpline coordinator at SPoD. SPoD is short for Social Policy, Gender Identity and Sexual Orientation Studies Association. It is an Istanbul-based national LGBTI+ organization founded in 2011 by a group of academics, lawyers and activists. We carry out rights-based, advocacy-focused and service-oriented work. In 2011, so more than 10 years ago, we set off with the dream of a fair, equal and free world under the rainbow. We aim to contribute to the making of social policies necessary for a life in which LGBTI+ people in Turkey won't feel oppressed about their gender identity and sexual orientation. We aim to set examples for public institutions by developing service models for LGBTI+ communities to eradicate all forms of discrimination and to provide services for LGBTI+ people through public and private partnerships. What do? We provide legal, social and psychological counseling to LGBTI+ individuals. We pursue litigation campaigns. We provide training to mental health professionals, lawyers, as well as corporations, institutions, and municipalities. We conduct academic research, organize seminars, panels, schools of politics and schools of activism, as well as election campaigns. We provide peer support and form support groups. We hold advocacy meetings and carry on monitoring and reporting. SPoD is a grassroots organization. We carry out all these activities with the participation of our 5 board members, 10 employees, 120 volunteers, 300 experts and 400 members. So among all these people are many trans people, of course. We work for the trans community, with the trans community. Our helpline has been in service since 2017 in order to provide accurate, up-to-date and reliable information on questions and problems focused on gender identity and sexual orientation, and also to offer peer support to LGBTI+ persons. It is run by a group of voluntary peer counselors who receive extensive training and regular supervision from SPoD. The LGBTI+ helpline provides counseling on issues such as discrimination and violence based on gender identity and sexual orientation, sexual and reproductive health, gender affirming process, military exemption, and social services. It also offers emotional support on coming out, peer bullying, and relationship difficulties, among many other topics. Counselings that are applying to the helpline are referred or directed to specialists from specific fields of work of SPoD. For example, for legal counseling, psychological support, and social services in regard to their needs and demands, of course. We provide anonymous free service in Turkish The helpline is reachable from Sunday to Friday between 12 noon and 6 p.m.
Thank you so much, Cem, for sharing all those things. And I think I would like to now ask, how do you see, like your organization has been working closely with the transgender people, and like you have been closely monitoring the workplaces, like you mentioned, students, working employees, you have been in touch with a lot of them. So how do you see the issues of gender equality and gender biasness at workplaces?
So in terms of trans identity.
Yes.
Yeah. Cissexism and transphobia are systemic problems which affect all sectors of societal life, including workplaces. So yes, there is a lack of support and understanding from colleagues towards trans people in workplaces. There is not only a lack of support and understanding. We know that when trans people's experiences in the workplace are not managed well, it can result in also loads of discrimination and inequalities. Managing the trans employee is not complicated or difficult, but the key is that it requires a whole organization approach, which involves strategic and operational planning and working with colleagues. We also work on this. We try to form a collaboration with different organizations. We train them and we help them develop their own trans inclusive work environment.
That's actually so great. And I would also like to understand, like, we have come quite far now. Like, people are becoming aware about different gender identities that a lot of people prefer in the society today. But still, the gap is very huge, which we still need to bridge in terms of awareness, in terms of telling the society that we are absolutely normal as transgender, as the entire LGBTQI community. So what are a few things, what are a few myths, few biases, few prejudices, few misconceptions about the community that you wish more and more people knew about in the society?
People should understand that trans community is not homogeneous. It consists of so many different groups of people, different ways of expressions and identities. So it is one thing to keep in mind always. And also we should also keep in mind that in many countries, in many societies, trans people are deprived of their basic human rights, from life, right to life, to education, to housing, to employment, and so on. So as a society, we have to work hard on creating trans-friendly environments, especially at workplaces.
Totally agree with you, Cem, on that. Also, like here, like you said, that you have a lot of volunteers coming up and supporting your organization as well. So I would like to also understand that how someone, let's say like me, who's sitting in completely different part of the world, wants to come and support the cause that you're doing. Okay, and so what can be multiple ways that that a person, a volunteer, can come up and support your organization?
Well, our organization, or the trans community as a whole?
As a whole, your organization,
okay.
Whatever works.
Okay. First of all, support is very important. By the time a trans person comes out, especially when they're coming out at work, it can often be after years of struggling with their gender identity and attempting to find ways to manage it. Many more people are coming out at a younger age, but there are also many who do so later in their lives after a seemingly conventional life of marriage and children, perhaps. Coming out as trans is not a decision which is taken lightly, and it is extremely rare for people to revert back to the gender assigned at birth. In this circumstance, they may have found that being out as trans is too difficult. This is often due to negative reactions of family members, spouses, or colleagues at work, as well as unsuccessful medical treatments and social stigma and exclusion. Trans people who have been supported and supported at work prove to be happier, healthier, more productive, and loyal individuals and employees. So on the Trans Day of Visibility, I encourage all of us to join our fight for trans rights. So you can share data on anti-trans violence, treasure and support trans people who are alive, educate yourself and others, people around you. Volunteer your work to trans groups, donate to community services directed at trans people, especially trans people that face intersectional marginalization, and hold policy and decision makers accountable for their actions.
Thank you so much. That was so well put that it covered almost every aspect of the ways that we can support the community. Thank you so much for that. I think those are all my questions, Cem. And to conclude this session with, I would like you to share a message for all those potential volunteers who would be watching this interview in future, telling them that how their bare minimum effort, bare minimum contribution in terms of time or money can create such a huge impact in the lives of the people, the community you serve, and your organization as well.
Excuse me, you want a message from me?
Yes, I want a message from you for all those potential volunteers out there looking at this interview and telling them that how crucial they are in this journey of yours.
So every little helps, actually. There are so many ways of supporting trans community. As I said a couple of moments before, you can just do very small things like sharing data or expressing your support, even bearing a small trans flag as a pin on your shirt, or a rainbow flag on your wall at the office. So there are so many ways of volunteering, so many ways of putting efforts and contribution to our work. If you don't have time, you can always send us a message. It really motivates us.